You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. In Disney.
Well, there you all are. Well, welcome into our JW World News Sunday edition. And I have to tell you that things are really getting big time for us here at the Six Screens. More and more people are calling in. More and more people are leaving the Six Screens, and how glad we are that that's all. I mean, more and more people leaving the Watchtower. I'm sorry. Not too many leaving the Six Screens, but many leaving the Watchtower. Well, anyways, my name's Rick Farron. I'm coming to you from the hub of the universe, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And I have to say this. This is an area where there are a lot of people getting out of the Watchtower. Now, we had on the earlier program just a little bit ago, we had a man named David, and he called in from El Paso, Texas. And he was saying there's nobody down there. He's looking to meet people in El Paso, Texas. Well, they're there, and he'll find them, I'm sure. But I always say up here in Boston, this is the apostate capital of the world. And the reason why I say that is up here, it never really was that strong of a place for Jehovah's Witnesses. As a matter of fact, when I lived in Florida, I remember a circuit overseer, he said that New England, where I'm from here in Massachusetts, he said that New England was one of the tougher areas for Jehovah's Witness teenagers. He says a lot were leaving. This is years ago he told me that. But, I don't know what it is up here. See, we're not, for one thing, I don't know how religiously connected people get here in Boston, in New England. The Catholic Church is the predominant religion. That's what you're going to see the most of up here, at least in my neck of the woods, is the Catholicism. But, well, what happens is we're not in the Bible Belt. A lot of people, sad to say, they don't connect with God up here. They really don't. I'm not saying they're all atheists, but a lot of them, you see more churches. Even when I was out in the Midwest, out in Illinois, there seems to be more churches out there than here. And of course, down in Florida and South Carolina and North Carolina, that's the Bible Belt. A lot of Christian churches down there. But up here, that might be one of the reasons why we have a lot more apostates, is because I don't think as many people connected with the witnesses or any Christian organization, even though the witnesses aren't Christian. So that's my feelings on it. It's just not a very religious area. But anyways, I'm glad you're with us. We are here every other Sunday. We're here now today, and we're glad you're with us. We had a great program last night on the Six Screens. Lots of people calling in from all over the world and voicing their opinions, their feelings on being in the Watchtower organization. Well, let's take a look here. Well, let's see what's going on. Let me just turn the pages here in my computer and take a look and see what is going on. We have got a lot of people. We're not going to talk about the convention. They're still alive in 25 convention. We won't talk about that. We'll talk about that next. Well, it's going to be the Ex-Witness Convention coming up in 2025 August. It'll be the biggest meetup ever. It won't be a meetup. It'll be a convention. It'll be the biggest convention of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses in the history of the ex-witness world. So we're looking forward to that. And if you are interested in that convention, write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com. I'll send you the tickets. Tickets are free. I'll send you the tickets to the convention. Okay. I think you've noticed many people have written to me. They've sent me information. The Kingdom Halls are becoming a senior center. That's right, becoming a senior center. A lot of old ones, a lot of older ones are in the Watchtower. In fact, some areas, they're calling them not Kingdom Halls. They're calling them geriatric halls. That's a fact. As a matter of fact, there's not a lot of young ones going to the Kingdom Hall. Now, you'll see them, even the Kingdom Hall that I used to go to. I see young ones going in, but for the most part, they're being forced to attend. I mean, if you're a little kid, 8, 9 years old, of course, you got to go with mom and dad. What else you going to do? But when you get a kid, I say a kid, but a young man or woman, say they're about 16, 17, 18, they don't want to go to the meeting. So many of them do. They're forced, by their parents. And I understand that. I'm not saying that those kids have to be disobedient at all, but so they don't really want to be there. So, but many people are noticing all of the older people in the kingdom halls. In fact, it's the congregations are actually evolving into this core group of senior citizens. And many of them are mentally depressed. They're elderly people. They're desperately clinging on to a fantasy. Now, you stop and think about it. I'm 75 years old, and I was in the witnesses for 50 years. And if I was still going today, I would have been one of those mentally depressed elderly people desperately clinging on to a fantasy. What else are you going to do? You put all that time into being one of Jehovah's Witnesses. You just can't get up and say, that's it, I've had it. You got to feel some emotional loss. I always use there's a term. I brought it up before. I hate to beat the term to death, but it's called sum, S-U-M, cost. And there's a sum, it's an accounting term. And what sum cost is, excuse me, suppose you were a business and you were putting millions of dollars into this widget that you were manufacturing. And you say, geez, this widget someday is going to make it, but I put all this money, I put $2 million into manufacturing it. I can't quit now because it might make it tomorrow. It might be very successful. So that's called sum cost. And that's exactly what goes on with older witnesses. They put so much time and effort, all of their resources, a lot of their money into the Watchtower, and they've been there for so many years. They say, well, gee, I can't give up now. Armageddon's coming. Well, that is why there is even a Bethel, the Irish Bethel branch. You know what they call it now? They call it Jurassic Park. Due to the average age, I guess evidently, of Bethelites in Ireland, it's 70 years old. So it's got the nickname Jurassic Park. Now that's something, isn't it? Yeah, so the Kingdom Halls, they are indeed final resting places for the elderly Jehovah's Witnesses who never expected to grow old in this system, right? I didn't. When I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I didn't expect to grow old. I never thought I would live to be 75 years old. I thought Armageddon would have been here by then. But a lot of these people are saying, a lot of these older brothers and sisters, Jehovah's Witnesses, they're actually saying, we should be in the new system by now. We should be in the new system by now. Just going to get up here and plug my computer in. I just got to know this. Give me a second. I get the...
Rick, is that geriatric park or Jurassic Park?
Jurassic.
Geriatric.
Yeah, no, it's called Jurassic Park, I guess, because the dinosaurs. They're looking at the old people as being dinosaurs.
Oh, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, no, in fact, some are calling it geriatric halls, and the Bethel home in Ireland, from what I see here, they're now calling that Jurassic Park, because of dinosaurs, old. I mean, I hope I'm not sounding like I'm picking on old people. I mean,
Not you, but them.
Yeah.
Remember when Johnny the Bethelite said that they were moving all of the real pretty single sisters up to Warwick and left the old, basically ugly, old, decrepit single sisters with the young brothers? Remember how depressing he felt? Thank you, Rick.
Well, yeah, no. Yeah, well, what's happening here is we can use terms and phrases. I'm going to throw another term out. A lot of these older witnesses, they have, it's a known term. This is a known medical term. They have cognitive immobility. Did you ever hear that term? Cognitive immobility. Now, what that really is when you're stuck in a situation like many Jehovah's Witnesses are, they're stuck in this religion. It's very hard for them to get out. They're too old to change. Even if it's the right move for them, even if it's the right thing to do, they just can't do it. It's just like trying to teach an old dog new tricks. So what you have here is you have a lot of old people, and they are stubbornly lazy in the Watchtower organization. They're afraid to accept a better, more truthful, honest reality. Well, that could have been all of us. That could have been me. That could have been Anne Marie. That could have been Dick and Constance. We could have been stuck. We would have this cognitive immobility, and we couldn't move. That would be it. That is why the Watchtower right now, friends, is making drastic changes. They know they have too many old ones. They know that the baby boomers, they only have 10, 20 years left. I mean, I know that too. How many more years am I going to go? I mean, let's face it, we're in the later innings of my life. I'm not trying to be a fatalist here. I'm not trying to be critical, but I'm just accepting reality. 10 or 20 years, they know the baby boomers. That is, the Watchtower knows the baby boomers are going to be out of here. So what are they going to do? They got to appeal now to the younger people. And that's exactly what the Watchtower is doing. They're now creating a religion that is more appealing to keep the younger generations interested. Do you believe that the younger generations would stay interested in this organization if they aren't rapidly changing things? I mean, seriously, how many younger ones want to go out and service every Saturday and Sunday and even during the week and report time? They don't have to report time anymore. That would appeal to young ones. See how, they're probably saying, how am I going to pay for my phone? How am I going to pay for my car insurance? How am I going to pay the rent? So, these are things young kids are asking. They say, I can't spend time in the ministry like that. So they're trying to do everything they can. They now say that, people men that is, can grow a beard. So isn't that appealing to young men? Young men, they like to look fancy. They like to have their little sideburns, a little facial hair going on for them. And they feel good about that. So the Watchtower knows that. So they get rid of the beard. Friends, the Watchtower is a slow sinking ship. Well, at least up to now, it's been a slow sinking ship, but it's going to sink faster. It's going to go down real quick. And I have to tell you, I'm going to give you some good news. I'm going to give you some good news right now. If you have relatives and friends that are in the Jehovah's Witness religion and they're, say, under 50, there's real hope for them. They're just hanging on right now. Their mother and father is still living, and their baby boomer mother and father, and they're hanging on. They're trying to appease their mother and father. But when the mother and father check out and leave this old system, so to speak, you think these people 50 years old and under are gonna stay with the Watchtower? Absolutely not. They're not. It's not going to happen. So that's good news. So if you have relatives, now, if you have older relatives, I don't know if I can give you any hope, but there's older ones coming out. Look at Fran and Joe. We've been talking about them for the last couple of days, right? They came out of the Watchtower a couple of years ago. They're on YouTube explaining how bad the Watchtower is and exposing them, but they're doing good. So there are older ones coming out too. I don't want to make a blanket statement here. But anyways, I just wanted to start off by saying that. But, one of the biggest news events in the world of the Jehovah's Witnesses happened this week. It might set a precedent. And, of course, it has to do with Jehovah's Witnesses versus Norway. Now, I'll just briefly state what was going on in Norway, if you're just listening in for the first time. We know that the country of Norway is ticked off at the Jehovah's Witness Watchtower organization. Well, why are they ticked off? Because the Watchtower shuns people. Many people have been going to the government in Norway who left the Watchtower and saying, look, we're being ostracized. We're being shunned. We're being, no one wants to speak with us. Our life is miserable. And they got a listening ear. The Norwegian government listened to these ex-witnesses, so they started looking into the witness organization. Now, as I explained even last night, in Europe, what they do is the government gives religions money. It's they call it a charity status. They give the Jehovah's Witness money. They give other religions money. And the more people you have in your religion, the more money you get. So the Watchtower is getting over $1 million. I think it's $1.25 million or something like that, dollars a year. And they've been getting that for 20 years. But when the Norwegian government started hearing about how the Jehovah's Witnesses treat people that leave the Watchtower, how they shun them, ostracize them, the Norwegian government isn't happy. So they took away the charity status of the Jehovah's Witnesses. They says, no, 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 we're not going to pay any money anymore. So the witnesses, they were so upset. Oh, they can't do that to us. They've been giving us money for 20 years. This is wrong. They don't understand what our religion's about. The Bible says we can shun. They don't understand what we're saying. We're gonna appeal. So just this week, the verdict came down, and the verdict is against the Jehovah's Witnesses. And now they're going to continue to lose that money. They also cannot. I mean, this one isn't too bad, but they're not going to be a known. They're not going to be a regulated or a registered is the word. They're not going to be a registered religion in Norway. So on the surface, you say, "Oh, that's wonderful. They're not going to be a registered religion in Norway." Well, that doesn't mean too much. They're still going to be able to go out and preach. They're still going to be able to go to the meetings at the Kingdom Hall and have their conventions in Norway. The only thing that's really been taken away from the witnesses as far as they're registered to be a religion is the elders cannot perform a marriage. The Jehovah's Witness elders in Norway will no longer be able to perform a marriage. They'll have to get a secular officiate, maybe a justice of the peace or someone like that, to marry them. But that's not a big deal. But if you were Jehovah's Witness and you had your little cutie pie, oh, she's my beautiful sister, I'm going to marry her, and you're thinking about having a wedding in the Kingdom Hall, forget about it. You're not going to have that happen. So the verdict came down, and the state of Norway, they won. And I'll tell you what, I felt like dancing in the parking lot because this has legs on it. This can really be very meaningful. The Jehovah's Witnesses, they were dragged through the mud. And thank goodness the whole world got to see this, especially all the Norwegian countries. It was all over the news and all the papers all over Europe. So this is a wonderful thing. So the world got exposed to how evil the Watchtower is. So they are standing pretty sad today, the Watchtower. Norway became victorious, and I'm sure there's going to be other countries that will follow suit, and they're going to do the same thing. Yes.
It's Eric. I wanted to just share with you real quick because I don't know if you caught this news. My wife, Desiree, sent this to me from Reddit. If I could read it real quick about another country
Sure, I'd like to hear it.
being suspicious of the Watchtower.
Yeah, go ahead.
Slovakia's news channel featured in the show Reflex a 22-minute report about Jehovah's Witnesses. The report informed the public that the Slovakian government, based on the latest news, especially those from Norway, is investigating Watchtower's rightful status as a religion. The report is unfortunately only in Slovakian language. And then the person says, I'm very happy that there are countries reconsidering what Watchtower's legal status, although I'm sure that the organization will use these developments to fit their persecution narrative. But anyways, I thought I'd read that to you. This is excellent news, and I hope that they have the cojones to go after. They get greedy and go after to appeal it in the European court, because I think that would be checkmate for them. And you want to take an organization down or organized crime people down or gangs, you know what? Time and time again works. Go after that money.
Well, no, you're absolutely. Oh, well, Eric, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, in fact, I was going to bring that, not Slovakia, but I was going to bring up that I'm glad they're doing that, and that's a European nation, and there's going to be more following suit. I don't know how many states or nations there are, countries in Slovakia in Europe. I think there's 22. But if the Watchtower appeals this, all of these countries in Europe are going to continue to get bad press against the Watchtower. So they're going to be very careful appealing this. I mean, if I was on the governing body or an official of the Watchtower, I'd say, geez, let's just let it go. Just let it go, because we don't want this bad press. But to give you an idea, what did this cost the Watchtower? Now, they took the Norwegian government to court. Now,
Hello?
yes, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I was just going to say real quick, Rick, you should be rooting for Putin, because my understanding, he doesn't like the Watchtower. So some people think they try to think he's going to take over all of Europe. That you should be rooting for him. If he does, then maybe he'll ban him in all of Europe if he takes it over. You know, they're comparing him to Hitler.
Well, no, that's
good, right?
well, not in the sense I wouldn't want to see him cause harm, because he's kind of an extremist himself. But at least Slovakia or at least Norway isn't lining the witnesses up.
Have you ever heard this? The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah, well, I understand what you're saying. I'm going to say that Norway is not going to line the witnesses up and execute them. They're just saying they can't perform marriages. And actually,
Wouldn't it be better if they did do that? I mean,
well, there you go again. No, it wouldn't. I don't want to see Jehovah's Witnesses executed. I'd like to see them change their ways or even go out of business, but I don't want to see anybody get hurt over this whole thing. Really?
well, yeah, right. But I mean, if they're as evil as you claim, then I'm being serious. If they're as evil as you claim they are, then why wouldn't you want them exterminated? I mean,
Well, there's certain degrees of evil. I mean, Jehovah's Witnesses are evil.
Well, what about the leadership? I mean, maybe not the rank and file, but would you what about the leadership? Should they be put in prison, or what should happen to them?
Well, the leadership, I would say they should be put in prison. I would say that. I mean, they have been causing great deals of difficulty for many people for many years. And when you start, I'm not gonna.
Your buddy Garrett Lowe. You think he should go to prison? He's past 80, Rick. Come on.
Well, I don't know. Well, I did get to know him. I don't know if he should go to prison, but I'll tell you what, there are people in the Watchtower that should be in prison. They should.
Well, he's as high up as you can get. He's not the governing body.
Yeah, but I haven't caught him in a criminal act. Now there are.
Well, okay, but he's the head of it. So it's kind of like, how they go after when they went after the mafia. They used the RICO Act. If you're going to say whatever they did, the Watchtower is the top-down organization. So he's right at the top of it. So if somebody does something at a local level, he's responsible, right?
Well, he could be. And in fact, you say, well, who have you caught in a criminal act? I haven't caught any at this point. I mean, there were past governing body members that were caught in a criminal act. Leo Greenlees and Chitty, from what I understand. I can't say with full certainty, but all right. But on the other hand, let me just rephrase this so there's no misunderstanding on this. The Watchtower, they're not everybody on the top is a criminal, but you take a person. Let's take Tony Morris. I'm not saying he's a criminal. I mean, he's not with them anymore. But if he deliberately knew about what was going on in Pennsylvania with covering up child molestation, he could be sent to prison. I'm not saying he knew it, but I'm saying if they found out that he was involved in covering this up, he could go to prison for that. Yeah. So justly so. Yeah.
I gotta say, Rick, I think Brother Moore, I'm almost a fan of his because, I think maybe he knew all these changes that were coming and he spoke out against it. And then I was a fan. I really loved that he spoke out against the LGBTQIA plus community. I love that.
Well, I know you do.
I'm a fan of Tony Morris.
All right, then let go with that. All right, thank you, Mike. But anyways, to Mike and anybody else listening, when the witnesses lost in Norway just this week, they had to pony up. They had to pay some money to the court system. So they sued Norway. They lost. So the court cost was $1.1 million. And, that's all from donations. And that's all from, selling Kingdom Halls off. That's where the money's coming from. It's a drain. And also they had to pay for their lawyers. Now, evidently, they weren't all Watchtower lawyers. And even if they were, the Watchtower pays those Watchtower lawyers a good chunk of change, believe me. But also they spent $500,000. So we have $1,600,000 down the drain for the Watchtower organization. So I'm so glad that Norway came down on them. Like Erica was just saying, Slovakia is looking into them. And if they appeal this, they will be so stupid to do that because it's just going to add more fuel to the fire. It's going to expose them even more. So we'll see what happens. But thank goodness that Norway said that is it. It's good that happened. Let me scroll down here to the next story and see what's going to happen here. We got another story coming up here. Well, there was an article in the Watchtower this week, And it was all about how young men should really be reaching out for more privileges and putting a lot of pressure on young men. Now, last week, studying the Watchtower was on young women and how they really should carefully consider a husband, and they really should put kingdom interest first and pioneer, and certainly want to follow Jehovah's command to stay truthful and not get involved in illicit sex and all of this stuff. So, I mean, they put a lot of pressure on the women 2 weeks ago, last week, but this week, now they're putting the pressure on the young men. Now, there's many things that we could say the Watchtower is doing to hurt young men. I just came up with a few here. Maybe you guys can even think of more, but I'm thinking there's so many things. If you're a young man, that you're always going to be pressured. I was. Well, Rick, when are you going to reach out? When are you going to be a ministerial servant? Crown out, you're only 17, 18, 19 years. Come on, Rick, reach out now. Become a ministerial servant. And then when you become a ministerial servant, or you become a pioneer even, now they're saying, well, when are you going to reach out to be an elder? When are you going to reach out to be that? I mean, can you imagine the pressure on a young man in the Jehovah's Witness organization? And then you get, in your 20s, now they're picking young brothers. There's actually a lot of 20-year-old men in the Watchtower organization that are becoming elders. So they're trying to get as many elders as they can, and they're doing it rapid firing. They're trying to get so many in. So what happens is a lot of these young men, their brain has not even matured. They have not even got to the point of being able to rational think on their own. And the Watchtower is trying to put, rent space in their head and give them all these crazy things. And even like, get married and find a good sister. And they even, we talked about that last night in the Watchtower organization. They encourage the young ones to get married early. And why? Well, get married and make more little followers for Jehovah, right? Little babies. So, I have to scrutinize that when they were talking about marriage and that article. So they're talking about marriage, but on the other hand, a young man, now think about the pressure. A young man can't even be alone with his prospective bride. He finds a cute little sister in the Kingdom Hall. He can't even be alone with her. He has to have a chaperone. So he never even could be alone with his wife-to-be without someone, listening to every word and noticing everything he's doing. And so then they get married, and this is the first time he's alone with this woman, and he finds out this isn't the woman he wanted to marry. So then now he's up the creek without a paddle. This happens. So then you also have the young men and young women. They're being asked to, not only serve Jehovah as a pioneer or reaching out as a servant, but they also want them to donate money. Don't forget now, even though you don't have a lot, give us what you got. This is really putting a lot of pressure. So then the Watchtower in this article, I'm not reading it verbatim here, friends. I'm just kind of paraphrasing it. But there's one article here, one paragraph that really ticked me off. They're saying that there's going to be people out there that they're going to say stupid things to you. So I'm wondering, what are the stupid things people are going to say to young men and young women, but specifically young men in this article? So the Watchtower is saying that the stupid things that some people will try to tell you to do is go to school. Do you think that's stupid? Do you think, if a young man came up to you and said today, I really want to get a good job. The rents around here are $1,500, $2,000 a month. I got to get a good job to do that. Well, go to school, go to trade school, go to college. But the Watchtower, they want to suppress you. So they're saying that's a stupid thing if someone comes up to you and says, go to school. So they say, don't listen to any of these outside sources about what kind of person you should be. So that is disgusting to me. And then also they have to bring up again about tight pants. I know Mike will like this. Because what they're saying, don't have the men wear these tight pegged pants. And it's the same because it's immoral clothing. It makes you look like a girl. It makes you feminine. And I know what Mike's thinking right now. I mean, there is a lot of femininity in the Watchtower, but these are good. These are well, I have to say that I will agree with that to some point. I don't think that men should be, kind of becoming feminine. Now, I'm not saying they're gay. I'm not, but I know a lot. I mentioned this last night and I got into a big discussion. I know there's a lot of Jehovah's Witness men that are effeminate. They're like very girly men. I'm not picking on them, but I think it's because, well, I'll tell you, Wyatt Earp. We all know Wyatt Earp. He was calling in last night, driving everybody nuts. But Wyatt Earp came in last night, and he says, I think I know the reason why there's so many effeminate men in the Watchtower. So I said, well, Wyatt Earp, why is that? So he says, well, the father, he might not have been a witness. And this is like in my family. My father wasn't a witness, so my mother took me to the meeting. But he said, that they would go to the meetings, and even if the father was an elder, he might not have been in construction. He might not have been a real masculine guy. And most of the training and everything came from the mother in the witness world. And so that would kind of create a lot of femininity in the male. So I've seen this. So he was saying, yeah, because they're not like, real men and masculine men and working out there in construction and doing all of this masculine type stuff, that the witness men would have a tendency to turn to, not gay. I'm not saying gay, but I'm saying femininity. You know what I'm talking about. All right. So anyways, but these ones, what would you tell a young person today? If a young person came to you and said, hey, mister, well, what would you tell me to do today? What would you say? I would say, just my thoughts. I'd say get a trade. I'd say to a young woman or even a young man, even more so, get a trade, electrician, a plumber, something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Well, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in the Watchtower, is that sort of okay if you took a trade, like to be a plumber, an electrician, or something like that? I think maybe they would be okay with that.
They're okay with that, but it's the schooling that would bother them.
I think when they talk about schooling, that's more like going to higher, like a 4-year college education.
Yeah, well,
I've heard plenty of people today talk about colleges. That's not, I'm not talking about people in the Watchtower. That going to college isn't good. The stuff that you learn there nowadays isn't good.
Oh, well, right. And that's exactly right. The universities are teaching a lot of foolishness. But, if you went to an elder and said, brother elder, I have an opportunity to become a plumber, and, they make like $60 an hour to start. I would like to, there's a schooling system they have here.
I'm not sure. I think they would be okay if you wanted to be a plumber, but maybe I'm wrong. I think it's more the college degrees.
Well, it's a college, but no, you're right. No, but they wouldn't like you having to go to school. They would bother some witnesses' conscience. Why? In fact,
there was plenty of witnesses. I knew witnesses that were electricians.
Well, yeah, for the most part, they were apprentices and they learned, they got their license. But there's schooling, there's actual schools. You can go for you can take a plumbing course. You probably, if you want to be a master plumber, probably take it 2 years to go to school. Now, they're not going to like that. Yeah. They're not going to like it. They don't like school. And in the way that they would express it, in fact, if you went to an elder, if you were Mike coming to me, I'm an elder, you say, gee, Brother Farron, I want to go to school for a year or two and, I want a good trade. Oh, Mike, why would you want to do that? That's like rearranging the furniture on the Titanic. This whole
stuff. Yeah, I know it. I get it. Yeah, fuck the Watchtower, okay? I get it.
There you go. Hey, I don't know if you heard this last night or not, but I got information that came in from a Bethelite. Now, I know everyone, Rick, it's not Johnny the Bethelite, but I got information coming from a Bethelite. And he's saying that they're going to make a lot of things, and they're already starting as we see, they're going to make a lot of things a conscience matter. And
you're talking about the birthdays.
We're talking about the birthdays. Now, this is a slap on the face, Mike.
Well, I don't. Well, we'll have to wait and see on that one. But, I guess what I don't understand is, and not just you specifically, but why it seems to me like, at least the people on your program are pretty gullible. I remember, you just mentioned the Johnny the Bethelite character. Anything that Johnny the Bethelite said, everybody seemed like they wanted to believe it. Remember they're driving around in Bentleys, and there was all kinds of crazy stories. None of it was ever substantiated. I don't quite understand that, but whatever. But same with this here. Maybe it'll happen. I don't know. I mean, it's possible. They allow beards, but wait. Why not just wait and talk about it when it actually happens?
Well, because I mean, we have this fetish, we have this like obsession. We want to know what's going on, but we do know there's a huge wave of removal of the rules in favor of conscience-guided advice. Now that's happening.
If they do that, Rick, if they go down that road, I mean, that's like committing suicide, because the Watchtower has to. Okay, the appeal of the Watchtower is, in my opinion, they have to differentiate themselves from other religions. If they start acting like just any other religion, then what's the appeal? I mean that. I understand you're gonna.
Well, they must have right now, Mike. I have to tell you, even though I can't support it with any real facts, but I can say that somebody is in crisis management. They've gone to crisis management people, and I'm sure these people told the Watchtower, you better do something fast or you're going to lose this thing. There's too many people leaving. There's too many people hemorrhaging. Now get a hold of this. If they allow for birthdays, which I'm being told by this Bethelite, but let's just say, I don't know for sure, but he says by the fall, they're going to say birthdays are okay. If this is true, this is going to blow the beard gate out of the water. That will be.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's say they do this. Okay, the Watchtower, like I said, that's one of the things that makes the Watchtower unique. Because I was thinking about this when you were talking about this. I listened to a little bit yesterday. I turned it off before you brought your pervert show on. But if you, say you're going, say you're in the fourth grade, and everybody, this year you're in the fourth grade, and everybody, the cupcakes, little Johnny, I can't have a cupcake, I don't celebrate birthdays. Next year you're in the fifth grade, they bring the cupcake, and you take it. Hey, Johnny, why did you take the cupcake? I thought you didn't celebrate birthdays. Well, my religion, they changed their mind. They said, no, we can celebrate birthdays. That's what I was thinking about.
Right.
Oh, just slap on the face. Yeah, go ahead. You're on with us. Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
That's exactly what they're doing with the beards. That is exactly what is happening with the beards right now. Exactly what Mike said. Exactly what Mike said. I was in a funeral yesterday, and I was surprised. They had 30, 40 people there, and half of them brothers, and me and one other guy that was there, were the only ones that didn't have, I had a little hair on my face, but not much. But everybody else had a beard. That's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly the same thing that's going to happen if they do the birthday thing.
Well, Chewy, do you think that even if they do now celebrate birthdays, that this would be even bigger than the having a beard issue?
Oh, big time. Big one.
Yeah, it would. Go ahead.
But I was thinking about it too. Not just that, but okay, let's say they allow this. Then, how many people do you think, okay, they never celebrated a birthday, they're turning 21. Don't you think some might go overboard, have some big bash, everybody gets drunk, and who knows, all kinds of crazy stuff could go on.
Well,
it just seems like pretty bad.
This is uncharted territory, Mike. This is uncharted territory.
I agree with you.
Make the same thing. I could make the same thing on beards. What's going to happen with the beard? How long are you going to grow it? How short do you have to keep it?
Yeah.
Same thing. They don't know that.
But with the beard thing, Rick, the only thing about that is you have to know this. If you grew a beard before, it wasn't a disfellowshipping offense. Celebrating a birthday, I guess, technically wasn't a disfellowshipping offense. So I think you're comparing apples to oranges there.
Well, technically, you could celebrate a birthday and not get disfellowship. The only thing that would create an issue is you went around broadcasting it. You couldn't invite other witnesses to your birthday. Suppose you had a little kid that was 2 years old or whatever, and you okay, I'm going to make a birthday cake. You got away with it, but you couldn't go telling everybody. The elders knew that.
I know. I remember my dad told me years ago, a guy he worked with, when he was still working in the plant factory, a brother told him they had a birthday party for a kid. I don't know, 2 years old.
Yeah. No, that's right. Now, can you imagine, and Chewy and Mike listening as well as the others, can you imagine the excitement in the Jehovah's Witness world? They can't celebrate anything. Now, all of a sudden, yeah, you can celebrate your birthday. They're not going to call it a birthday, as we mentioned last night. They're going to call it a birth anniversary. And there will be parties galore. I can't believe
Does that make any sense to you, Rick? They're not going to call it a birthday. I think somebody's pulling the. I mean, come on. They're going to have. It's a birthday. If they're going to do it, they're going to allow you to call it a birthday.
Well, it's typical. I mean, how can they do it after preaching for all these years? You couldn't do it. Geez, that's what they do.
I kind of think somebody's pulling your leg, Rick, but that's just my opinion.
Well, we'll see what happens in the fall. Like I said, I mean, I'm only saying what this Bethelite gave me this information, so we'll see.
I'll remind you when it doesn't happen.
You remind me. Okay, go ahead. You run with it. That's you. Who would not say hello? Is that Chewy or is that someone else?
Yeah, this is one thing. When I was in that Kingdom Hall yesterday, I saw this part 2 weeks ago when I was in there, and maybe I missed the announcement or something like that or whatever. It's been there for a while because there was a little wear and tear on the little things they put on there. But instead of having worldwide work and Kingdom Hall fun and all that stuff on the box, they have 4 little pieces of plastic that say jw.org on it. They all goes into one box now. That's my impression. They don't have it divided like when we did it. We had one that was for Kingdom Hall fun, one for worldwide work, and then one for local expenses or whatever. That's all done away with. That's all gone.
Well, they're trying to do everything, Chewy, to make this thing now a viable religion. There's too many people leaving. Who'd like to come on?
And then the other thing,
yeah.
The other thing that I noticed yesterday, they had a stack of envelopes on the literature counter. I said, "What the heck's that?" They had one in Spanish, and they had about 10 or 15 in English.
Yeah.
Oh, these are returned letters that they sent out that the publishers paid with their own stamp to send them out, and they came back to the Kingdom Hall. There was about 10 or 15 of them there.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, they have their own stamp, and it goes to the Kingdom Hall.
Thank you, Chewy. 714, you're on with us. Go ahead, 714.
Oh, hi, Rick. It's Nadine again about the birthdays.
Yes, Nadine.
Hi. I have a couple things to say. I've just turned on briefly just right now, and I did hear, I think his name is Mike, and he was talking about the kids at school and that they would be so excited if they had a birthday. But remember now, in this information that's supposed to come out, it will be like a celebration, supposedly a birth anniversary, but you're not supposed to have cake. So then if the kids are excited in school, but then they say you can't have cake, so that's another problem with that whole thing, with the kids getting excited at school, because the little hang up about, they say you can't have cake with it. And then I have another comment, but it doesn't have to do about the birthdays. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
It has to do with last night on Connie and Rich's show. And it was a big discussion, and a little bit of an argument came out about whether the witnesses were followers of men or if they were worshiping, Jehovah. And all I can say is that I can kind of prove a point if you don't mind. Now, when they said that the men could start wearing beards, well, the men in the hall, the brothers in the hall, went right along with men had to say. And so I can prove that they are followers of men, because whenever they come down with new light, they follow right along with what the men in New York said.
Absolutely. No, I didn't catch that whole argument. I was going to go back and listen to it later.
Oh, okay.
But that's what they went. No, I got a tail end of it. So some were saying that they believe they're following Jehovah. Others say that they were following men. So you're in the following men. You're in the following men camp. Yep. I think I'm in.
I just proved it.
Yeah,
I just proved it right there.
Yeah, you did. No, I'm in that camp too. These guys are good at it. They're good at getting people to follow them.
Right. Right. And then if they allow this birthday anniversary, stuff going on, then they're going to be following men again. It's always been about following men, starting from the beginning with Russell and Rutherford. And then Knorr, and then now it's all about following men and what they say and dictate and control the organization or the members of the congregation, in my opinion.
Well, I trust your opinion. You come across as a very articulate lady. You make sense. You made the point, and then I'm with you. I agree with you. Thank you, Nadine. Thank you.
Hello?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah, Mike, you got about a minute, then we're going to go to another program. Go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick. I'm glad she mentioned that, though. I remember that now about the birthday cake. So you're trying to, like I say, I believe somebody's pulling your leg here. This isn't true because they're telling you they're going to say you can celebrate birthdays, but you can't call it a birthday. You're going to call it a birthday anniversary, and then you can do it, but you can't have any cake. So I think somebody's pulling your leg.
Well, no, wait, no, slow down. I mean, they can't. There are no candles either. No, you can't. You no candles, no cake.
Well, what kind of,
how?
If they're going to say you can celebrate a birthday, of course you're going to have cake. That's silly.
Well, you would think so. You would think, yeah.
Mike, this is Chewy. They don't call their meetings of worship churches. They call them kingdom homes. So they'll call.
We'll find out. We'll find out when it. Like I said, when it doesn't happen, I'll say I told you so. But that's fine.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Mike. If it doesn't happen this fall and we don't hear about it, I'll tell you what. I'll buy you. I'll get you a $20 gift certificate. You like tacos? You like Taco Bell? What do you like?
Well, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, I could be wrong. Well, I'll say this: if they do this, I don't think they're gonna. If you're gonna say you can celebrate birthdays, I think they'll call it a birthday, and I don't think they'll say you can't have cake. I mean, maybe the candle thing, but what, you gonna have a birthday party, no cake? I mean, come on.
Oh, well, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Go ahead.
Y'all, put me down for 20 on that thing too.
I'll tell you what, I think it's even better. Maybe we can find a gift certificate to a bakery, and you can get a cake. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Chewy. Thank you, Mike. All right. Well, I guess we got to go to the Christian court. That's coming up next. Now, don't head for the mountains because you hear the word Christian. This is a good program. I really like this program that's coming up next. And it's a program about, Christians have peculiar questions. So we have two scholars that are going to come on. They're going to answer the question. So stay with us. The Christian Court is coming up next. I want to thank everyone for coming into JW World News Sunday edition. And hey, listen, keep standing tall. Don't you ever give in or up. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. We'll see you in the next program coming up next.